Starting March 2026, the rules you've been driving by for decades are officially changing. And if you're 65 or older, some of these updates hit differently than they do for younger drivers. The Federal Highway Administration, alongside multiple state DMVs, has quietly rolled out a wave of new driving regulations set to take effect this March, covering everything from license renewal requirements, vision testing mandates, reaction time assessments, and even updated right-of-way laws at intersections that millions of seniors use every single day. And here's what nobody is talking about. These changes aren't just paperwork. Some states are now requiring in-person reevaluation for drivers over 65, meaning your current license may not automatically renew the way it used to. Whether you drive every day or just occasionally to the grocery store or a doctor's appointment, this affects you directly, right now, in 2026. Stay with me, because what I'm about to break down could save your license, your record, and honestly, your independence. So, let's get straight into it, because this is genuinely important, and I want to make sure you walk away from this video with everything you need to know before March hits. First, let's talk about why this is happening right now. The federal government, along with state transportation departments across the country, has been reviewing senior driving statistics for the past several years, and what they found pushed lawmakers to act. According to the CDC, older adults aged 65 and older make up a significant portion of traffic fatalities each year. Not because seniors are bad drivers, but because the physical changes that come with aging, things like slower reaction time, reduced peripheral vision, and increased sensitivity to glare at night, create real risks that the current licensing system wasn't fully designed to address. So, instead of ignoring the data, states started working with the Federal Highway Administration to modernize how driving privileges are evaluated and maintained for drivers in this age group. That is where these March 2026 changes are coming from, and that is why you need to understand exactly what is on the table. Now, one of the biggest shifts happening this March involves license renewal cycles for drivers 65 and older. For decades, most states allowed drivers to renew their licenses every 4 to 8 years, regardless of age. That system is changing in a growing number of states. Several states, including Illinois, California, Georgia, and others, are now implementing shorter renewal windows specifically for senior drivers. In some states, drivers over 65 will be required to renew every 2 years instead of every 4 or 8. And this is not just a quick online form anymore. The new renewal process in many of these states includes an in-person component that younger drivers are simply not required to complete. That means you may need to physically go into your local DMV, take a vision screening, answer questions from a licensing officer, and in some cases, complete a brief written knowledge test to confirm that you are up to date on current traffic laws. If you have been renewing your license online for the last several years and assume that would continue, it may not, starting this March. And speaking of vision screenings, this is a big one that does not get nearly enough attention. Multiple states are raising the vision standards required to maintain a valid driver's license for seniors. The current standard in most states requires a minimum visual acuity of 20/40 in at least one eye, with or without corrective lenses. But what is changing now is how states are testing for other vision-related issues that affect driving, specifically peripheral vision and contrast sensitivity. These are the two visual functions that matter most when you are driving in low light, in rain, or at dusk, and they decline naturally as we age. New screening protocols being rolled out across several states this year will catch drivers who pass the basic 20/40 test but are actually struggling with these other critical visual functions. If you have not had a full comprehensive eye exam in the last 12 months, right now, before March, is the time to schedule one. Not only will it help you prepare for any required testing, but your eye doctor can catch conditions like glaucoma, macular degeneration, or cataracts that you might not even realize are affecting your driving. Now, let's talk about something that a lot of people are not expecting: the updated intersection and right-of-way rules that are going into effect alongside these licensing changes. Because it is not just about your license. The actual rules of the road are changing too. And this matters whether you are renewing your license tomorrow or 3 years from now. One of the most talked about changes involves four-way stop intersections and updated guidance on how yield situations are handled when a driver is making an unprotected left turn at a signalized intersection. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has updated its official driver guidance to reflect new traffic engineering research showing that confusion at these specific points is responsible for a disproportionate number of collisions involving senior drivers. The new guidance clarifies that when a light turns yellow while you are mid-turn in an intersection, you have both the legal right and the responsibility to complete that turn safely rather than stopping abruptly. This sounds simple, but you would be surprised how many drivers, including experienced ones, have been doing this incorrectly for years based on outdated information from older drivers' education materials. There are also changes coming specifically to highway and freeway driving rules in several states. Minimum speed laws, which have historically been under-enforced, are getting renewed attention in states like Florida, Texas, and Arizona, states with very high concentrations of senior drivers. In these states, driving significantly below the posted minimum speed on a highway is not just frustrating to other drivers. It is illegal, and enforcement of these laws is being stepped up as part of the broader 2026 safety initiative. If you have noticed that highway driving feels more stressful or overwhelming than it used to, that is completely understandable and incredibly common among drivers as they get older. And the good news is there are resources available to help, including free or low-cost driver refresher courses specifically designed for seniors that can actually help you feel more confident on the road. AARP, and many local community centers offer these programs, and completing one voluntarily can actually work in your favor if your state ever reviews your driving record. Let's talk about medical reporting requirements, because this is the part of the new regulations that surprises most people when they hear it. Several states are expanding what are known as physician reporting laws. These are laws that require or encourage doctors to report patients to the DMV if they believe a medical condition is affecting their ability to drive safely. Conditions that fall under this category include moderate to severe dementia, uncontrolled epilepsy, severe sleep apnea that is not being treated, and certain vision disorders. In states that are expanding these laws in 2026, the list of reportable conditions is being broadened, and the threshold for when a doctor is expected to file a report is being lowered. This does not mean your doctor is going to report you for taking blood pressure medication or for having arthritis. But if you have a condition that your doctor believes is significantly impairing your cognitive or physical function behind the wheel, the new rules in some states now make it easier, and in some cases mandatory, for that physician to alert the DMV. If you have any concerns about this, the most important thing you can do is have an open and honest conversation with your own doctor about your driving. It is far better to have that conversation privately and proactively than to have it forced by a citation or an accident. Now let's get into something that affects a huge number of seniors across the country: nighttime driving restrictions. While these are not federal mandates, several states are now including nighttime driving restrictions as part of conditional or restricted licenses issued to senior drivers who do not fully pass their renewal evaluation. This means that instead of losing your license entirely, which is nobody's goal here, the DMV may issue you a restricted license that allows you to drive during daylight hours only, or within a certain radius of your home, or without passengers. This type of restricted license is actually becoming more common as states try to find a middle ground that keeps seniors mobile and independent, while also addressing specific safety concerns. If you receive a notice that your license is up for a restricted review, do not panic. You have the right to request an appeal, and in many states you can submit documentation from your doctor or optometrist to support your case for maintaining your full driving privileges. Something else worth knowing is how the new rules interact with technology, specifically with modern vehicles. Many newer cars are equipped with driver assistance systems like lane departure warnings, automatic emergency braking, and blind spot monitors. And while these systems do not change your legal requirements as a driver, some insurance companies in 2026 are beginning to offer reduced premiums to senior drivers who own vehicles with these systems enabled and active. If you are driving an older vehicle without these features and you are thinking about whether an upgrade makes sense, this is one more factor worth considering. Not because you are required to, but because the financial and safety benefits are becoming more significant every year. Let's also talk about what happens if you disagree with a DMV decision. Because here is something most people do not realize. If the DMV suspends or restricts your license and you believe that decision was made incorrectly, you have legal options. Every state has an appeals process for license decisions, and in many states, you have the right to request a hearing in front of an administrative judge where you can present evidence, including medical evaluations, character references, and a clean driving record, to support your case. Hiring an attorney who specializes in DMV hearings is not as expensive as most people assume. And organizations like your local area agency on aging can often connect you with legal aid resources at little to no cost. The point is, a DMV letter is not the final word, and you have more rights than you might think. So here is what I want you to take away from everything we have covered today. These changes are real, they are coming fast, and they are specifically designed with drivers over 65 in mind. But they are not designed to take your keys away. They are designed to make sure that everyone on the road, including you and the people you love, is as safe as possible. The seniors who will be most affected by these changes in a negative way are the ones who are caught off guard, who did not know the renewal process had changed, who skipped that eye exam, or who ignored a letter from the DMV because it looked like junk mail. Do not be that person. Stay ahead of this. Take the steps now while you still have time before March, and remember that your ability to drive is worth fighting for, and fighting smart.